Do you get distracted easily? If you are anything like me, the answer is likely a resounding yes. In this video, I will share with you the 16 tips that I use personally to stay focused and avoid distraction. According to me, one of the biggest diseases we have in this world right now is distractions. There is an endless competition for our time, attention, and energy. We are bombarded by information, tasks, and notifications from all different angles. All of this makes it really hard for us to not get distracted and to stay focused on the task at hand. But as hard as it may be, it is not an impossible problem. Remember, the sun can light up the whole world, but to even burn a piece of paper, it needs its rays to be focused. So, without further ado, let's jump right in to the 16 tips in this video. In our modern lives, our biggest source of distraction is something we carry around with us. It's our phones. So, my tip number 1 is to have a clean home screen. So every time you launch your phone or you just unlock your phone, you are presented with things which are the most important to you and which will help you stay focused on your goals. For me, that is my health and sleep tracking apps. It is my focus time app and the bare essentials on the bottom, which are my to-do list, my calendar, Notion, and the ability to actually make phone calls. All of the other apps which used to distract me are on subsequent pages and within folders. So it makes it a little harder and I need to put in the effort to go launch those apps. So try having a clean home screen and you'll see that your impulses to go ahead and start clicking on those apps immediately reduces. Limit and monitor the usage of your apps. On iOS, I use Screen Time to monitor how much usage I am doing on certain apps, and I can use it to go put restrictions on how long I can go use a certain app. I would encourage you to go look at your usage history and set meaningful limits on how long you can use a certain app. This is because I used to open LinkedIn and go down this rabbit hole. An hour has passed and I'm still on it. And later I used to often regret it spending so much time on it, but having these limits will proactively limit how long you can use an app. All of these applications also allow for you to extend the usage limit on it. So you can have a passcode that you could use, which you can go enter to extend the usage. If you have issues regulating your usage, I would recommend that you get a family member or a friend or somebody else to set the passcode. So there's another friction point for you to go ahead and extend the usage beyond the limit that you have set, which you thought was appropriate. There's an equivalent on Android too, which is digital well-being. So please go ahead and use it to monitor and limit the usage of your apps. You might just be surprised to see how long you're spending on these apps. Tip number 3, delay distractions. On my phone, I use this app called OneSec. And what it does is whenever I try launching a social media app, like in my case, LinkedIn, it goes ahead and takes over the screen and it introduces a delay. And it forces you to breathe and reconsider if you want to actually launch the app or not. And I had muscle memory before where I just swipe, find LinkedIn and click on it and not know why I was launching it. But once I started using this app, in the couple of seconds that it takes for the breathing screen to be there, I often decide that I actually do not want to go ahead and use the app right now, which ends up saving me a lot of time. So even if I have 30 minutes of usage for the app, I can go ahead and delay that and use it when I want and not as a muscle memory where I just open my phone, find the app and click on it. So try using apps such as OneSec, which can delay, which can introduce delay when you're launching your social media apps. Tip number 4, turn off all notifications. All non-essential notifications should be turned off on your phone. I, for example, only have my phone notifications, my family members messaging me, and my calendar notifications turned on. everything else is just turned off by default. I also go ahead and turn off the badge count notifications on apps such as WhatsApp and my email so that I do not get distracted and tempted to open those apps every time I see them. So doing this will save you a lot of time. Another thing that I like to do is every time I'm working, I set my phone in do not disturb. I want to get the dedicated focus time and avoid any notifications and distractions which will take me away from my task at hand. Tip number 5, have a slow start to your day. This is one of those techniques that I have picked up recently. Nowadays, when I wake up, I take my bottle of water and I keep sipping it for the next 10-15 minutes until I'm fully awake. So I don't start off the day in a mad rush or a panic where I'm just running to get things done. And I found that whenever I do this, those days are the days where I'm more deliberate and I'm more focused and not just running from one task to another. So if you have the liberty of time, try just waking up 15 minutes earlier and just spend that time just relaxing with your thoughts, and you will find that those days are a lot more productive and a lot more focused. Tip number 6, find your maximum energy period. So we all are very different. Some of us are morning people, some of us prefer to work in the afternoon, and some of us prefer to work in the evenings or maybe even at night. I happen to be a morning person, so that is the time when I put the tasks which are the most important and need a lot of my focus on. So at that point, my energy levels are the maximum and I can go ahead and perform my best, and I can be really focused and I can avoid distractions. I can get a lot more work done. So find out what time of the day works best for you and put your biggest task and the most important task that you would like to get done at that period. And you can also minimize distractions, stay focused, and get a lot more done. Tip number 7, use the Pomodoro technique. For those of you who may not know, Pomodoro technique is a technique by which you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break and then you repeat the cycle. And after you've repeated the cycle like 4 to 6 times, go ahead and take a longer break of like 30 minutes. I find this extremely useful to be able to focus on things, and I know that the break is never too far away. If you remember the phone photo that had shown, there was a focus time icon over there. I'll put it on the screen right now, where I have a shortcut, and when I use the shortcut, I can set my Pomodoro timer, and it also sets my phone to do not disturb. So for that 25 minutes, I'm working completely distraction free, and then I get notified that my time is done, and I can go ahead and distract myself for the next 5 minutes before I have to go work again. Not all distractions are external. A lot of the distractions can be internal too. As you're working, you might just remember about this thing that your significant other asked you to do, or this other task that your boss had asked you to do like last week, which you haven't done. So for these reasons, one of the things that I do is I always carry a notebook around with me. And every time there's a thought that comes in my head, which is distracting, I go ahead and write it down on paper, and I try not to remember it. What that signals to my brain is I've acknowledged this thought, I've written it down, I will work on it when it's time to work on it, and I do not let it distract me over there. So don't try to keep everything in your head, put it down on paper, and then later you can transfer it to your task management systems. Tip number 9, work off your calendar. I got into the habit of putting everything onto my calendar a few years ago, and I must tell you, it has been very, very liberating. I do not have to think about what I need to do in a particular day or a week. It's all on my calendar with the right allocation for time. If something needs time, it needs to go on my calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it's not going to get done. And by dedicating that time for a particular task, I'm also telling my brain that during this time, I'm only going to go ahead and work on this thing and nothing else. That also helps you stay focused. Tip number 10, the 30-day rule. I have a rule for consuming information. If I'm not going to be using that article or consuming the information in the book in the next 30 days to go do something with it, I refuse to consume it. I have found out that if I don't use the information within the next 30 or 60 days, I will likely forget it and I would have to reread it and reconsume that information for when I need to use it. The fear of missing out, or the FOMO, will definitely kick in when you start rejecting information to consume, but trust me, it's going to save you a lot of time and you can go focus on the things that matter in the moment and not try to prepare yourself for things which may matter in the future. If you consume content just in time, you're more likely to remember it and immediately put it into action, because as they say, the best learning happens by doing. So if you're not using the information, you're likely losing the information. Tip number 11, scheduling time to consume information. Information comes to us at all times, but just consuming the information as it comes to us is not very productive. What I end up doing is I use bookmarks or Instapaper to go ahead and collect all of the information that I need to consume in a single repository, and then I schedule time on my calendar to go ahead and consume it based on my priorities. That way, I have time to consume all of the information I need, and similar to writing things on a paper, I do not miss out on the information and I store it to be consumed when I need it. Tip number 12, schedule thinking time. This is a problem that I used to run into a lot. I like getting things done, so I would just jump in and start doing things, and I would later ask the question, am I doing the right thing, which are helping me move in the right direction? Once I started scheduling thinking time, I was more deliberate in my planning. That made me go ahead and focus on the right tasks that need to be completed to achieve my objectives. So focus and distractions are not just about, am I distracted by my phone? It is also about, am I focused on the right tasks to go achieve the objectives that I want? And the thinking time will allow you to retrospect and think through your problems to figure out what the right course of action is, or how you would react if you were going off course. So scheduling 30 minutes of thinking time every day will really help you stay focused on the outcomes that you're trying to achieve, and you will end up spending your time on the right set of tasks. Tip number 13. While we are on the topic of scheduling time for all sort of tasks, including content consumption and thinking, we might as well go ahead and schedule some time for distractions. Yes, you heard me right. Go ahead and schedule time for distractions and go ahead and use LinkedIn, Twitter, or your app of choice to your heart's content during that time. Because when you get an outlet for using those apps during distraction time, it is less likely that you'll have the urge to go use it in your focus time when you're trying to get other things done. It's almost like having a cheat day with your diets, where you can stick to your healthy habits for 6 days a week, and one day you can go ahead and eat whatever you want. So go ahead and schedule your downtime, and when you'd like to get distracted, but have that on your calendar and stick to it. Tip number 14, the 2-minute rule. If something is going to take you less than 2 minutes to complete, like responding to that email, which is really quick, do not add it to your task list. Do not write it down. Just spend the 2 minutes to get it done then and there. You remember those distracting thoughts about stuff that you still need to do, which keep popping up in your head from time to time and distracting you? Just taking the 2 minutes to get the work done would mean that this task is not going to be one of those, and only the bigger tasks would be the ones that you'll go ahead and write down and put on your to-do list. So if something takes less than 2 minutes, just take care of it. Tip number 15, build some habits. Habits are micro decisions and things that we do every day, almost on an autopilot. So if you have to go brush your teeth in the morning, you don't really have to think about it, and you don't let things distract you from going ahead and doing that. You would go ahead and brush your teeth. So anything which is important to you, like exercising, meditation, or getting the most important thing done, or that video that you've been meaning to record done, make it into a habit, make it into a routine, and you will find that it's much harder to distract you from things which are habits. So try building some habits. It takes at least 21 days of continuous work to go ahead and build a new habit. If things are habits, you will get less distracted. Tip number 16. Last but definitely not the least is daily reflections. Spend some time at the end of your day writing down what went good, what are some of the things that you could go improve yourself or improve the day that you just had. And I also like to throw in what was my energy score, how focused was I, and how happy was I. Just spending some time reflecting on how your day went will allow you to come up with steps which help you stay more focused and more distraction free. I like to think about why I was not able to accomplish some of the things. What were some of the distractions that were keeping me from accomplishing the things that I wanted to do? So if you do not spend time reflecting about how your day went or what caused you to go off track, it's very hard to go ahead and address them. So spend 5 minutes to 10 minutes at the end of the day just reflecting on your day to see how you can make tomorrow better by taking the learnings from today. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found these tips useful and that some of these could help you stay more focused and avoid distractions. I wish for you to realize all of your aspirations while avoiding all of the frustrations along the way. I am by no means an expert in the subject, so if you have any other tricks and tips that you use to avoid distractions, please put them in the comment below. Do like and share the video, and please do subscribe to the channel.